Hello student, welcome to EPG Pathshala. Myself Dr. Dayasankalal Srivastava, Assistant Professor, Department of Biotechnology and Molecular Medicine, Pandit V.D. Sharma, University of Health Science, Rohtak. Today we are going to discuss on modules, modifying enzymes and their application in animal cell biotechnology under the paper Animal Cell Biotechnology. Dear student, in this e-Pathshala module, we will learn about the modifying enzymes, classes of modifying enzymes, and their usage in animal cell biotechnology. In this module of modifying enzyme and their usage in animal cell biotechnology, what are the modifying enzymes? Modifying enzymes that introduces minor bases into DNA or RNA that alters bases already incorporated. It serves to alter the sequences so that restriction enzymes will not be damage the strands. Dear students, there are many types of modifying enzymes. Some important are about which we will discuss here: DNA polymerases, DNA ligases, alkaline phosphatases, kinases, nucleases, and proteases. Modifying enzymes. Modifying enzymes introduces minor bases into DNA or RNA that alters base which are already incorporated. It serves to alter the sequence so that a restriction enzyme will not damage the strand. There are many types of modifying enzymes such as DNA polymerases, ligases, phosphatases, kinases, nucleases, and proteases. Now I am coming on DNA polymerases. DNA polymerase was discovered by Arthur Korenberg. It's inside DNA from 5' to 3' ends. There are two types of strands that are synthesized. One is the leading strand, other is the lagging strand. In leading strand, it is synthesized continuously in the 5' to 3' directions toward the replication fork. However, in lagging strand, it is synthesized semi-continuously in the 5' to 3' direction, but away from the replication forks. DNA ligases joining the lagging strand fragments and the 3 hydroxyl group at the end of grow the DNA chains act as a nucleophile. So the phosphorus adjacent to the sugar is attacked and adding growing chains and joining all the DNA lagging strands making to single strands. Native T7 DNA polymerase, it is highly processive with highly active 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. It is useful for extensive DNA synthesis on long single-stranded templates. Also, it is useful for labeling DNA termini and for converting protruding ends to blunt ends. Other polymerase, that is the modifying T7 DNA polymerase, it is also known as sequenase. This enzyme lack both 3' to 5' exonuclease and 5' to 3' exonuclease activities. It is ideal for sequencing. Due to high processivity, it efficiently incorporates DNTP at low concentration and making it ideal for labeling DNA. What is the difference between DNA polymerase 1 and cleanoid fragment? DNA polymerase 1 had 3 activity. That is the polymerase 3' to 5' exonuclease activity, 5' to 3' exonuclease activity, and DNA polymerase activity. Whereas cleanoid fragments, it has only 2 activity. First is the polymerase activity and other is the 3', 5' exonuclease activity. So modifying enzymes, the DNA polymerases, one important modifying structure is that cleanoid fragments. These cleanoid fragments used in animal cell biotechnology is to labeling DNA termini by filling in the cohesive ends generated by certain restriction enzymes. These cleanoid fragments also involved to generating of blunt ends and as well as DNA sequencing. Reverse transcriptase. Reverse transcriptase are RNA dependent DNA polymerases. So how from RNA to DNA is polymerized? In first step, RNA at templates for this enzyme, that is the reverse transcriptase. So from RNA to DNA is formed, and next from DNA to DNA. So it have reverse activity, that form to RNA to DNA and then DNA to DNA. Due to that, it is known as RNA dependent DNA polymerases. This RNA dependent DNA polymerases have important role in animal cell biotechnology, like to making the essential for making cDNA copies of RNA transcripts, cloning intron-less genes, and also it involved to quantitation of RNA. How this quantification of RNA, that from mRNA DNA cDNA is formed, and that cDNA we can measure due to the with the help of nanodrops. So we can quantify indirect way RNA by making to cDNA. That the ligases, phosphatase and kinases. The example of ligases is T4 DNA ligases, that alkaline phosphatase, and kinases, that is the T4 kinases. So about all these three, I am going in details right now. Ligases. Ligase enzyme catalyzing formation of phosphodiester bond between 3 hydroxyl group of one end of DNA molecules and 5' 3' phosphate group of the second end of the DNA. T4 DNA ligases, it catalyzes joining of two strands of DNA between 5' phosphate and the 3' hydroxyl group of adjacent nucleotides in either a cohesive end or in blunt end configuration. This enzyme has also been shown to catalyze the joining of RNA to either a RNA strand in a duplex molecules, but will not join single strand nucleic acid. Importance of DNA ligases. DNA ligase repair nicks in DNA strands that reform phosphodiester bond. This DNA ligase uses energy from the ATP, and it works on blunt end ligation as well as sticky end ligation of the DNA fragments. That is the T4 RNA ligases. T4 RNA ligases is the only phase RNA ligase that has been extensively characterized and used in genetic engineering. This enzyme catalyzes the phosphodiester bond formation of RNA molecule with hydrolysis of AT to pyrophosphate. It is a monomeric enzyme with 373 deduced amino acids. Residue is a product of the T4 gene 63. T4 RNA ligase application in animal cell biotechnology is to making the 5' tailing of DNA with RNA, and also it involved to radio labeling of 3' end of RNA and DNA, production of elongated molecules, modification of internal nucleotides, stimulation of T4 DNA ligase activity, as well as stimulation of T4 DNA ligase activity. That is the alkaline phosphatases. Alkaline phosphatases removes 3' and 5' phosphates from DNA and RNA. It prevents formation of new phosphodiester bond by RNA ligase. So this figure shows that one is the plasmid DNA, other is the target DNA. Both target and plasmid DNA are going to cut by restriction endonuclease cleavage, then alkaline phosphatate treatments. So what happens? They are making the hydroxyl group in both ends. Now with the help of T4 DNA ligases, these both fragments are going to ligates, and it is most important in the animal cell biotechnology. This enzyme. What is the application of alkaline phosphatase? First, the dephosphorylation of 5' phosphorylated terminal of vector DNA to prevent self-ligations, and other it involved to dephosphorylation of 5 terminal of nucleic acid prior to forward reaction with kinases. So these two are the most important uses of the alkaline phosphatases. Now I am coming on polynucleotide kinases. Enzyme polynucleotide kinases catalyze the transfer of gamma phosphate of ATP to the 5' of polynucleotides. This enzyme has major role in animal cell biotechnology to preparing DNA fragments for ligation if they lack 5' phosphatases. They have also involved in the radio labeling of DNA fragments using gamma P32 ATP as a phosphate donor. So thus 5' labeling of DNA RNA making they have major role. In spite of that, they also involved to phosphorylation of synthetic linkers that are used in animal cell biotechnology. That is the S1 nucleases. S1 nucleases is a single-strand specific endonucleases that hydrolyzes single-stranded RNA or DNA into 5' mononucleotides. The enzyme will hydrolyze single-stranded regions in the duplex DNA such as loops and gaps. Important of S1 nucleases in animal cell biotechnology is to make nuclease mapping techniques, removal of single-stranded region from double-stranded DNA, and exonuclease second order sequencing process. Terminal transferases. Terminal transferase template, the independent DNA polymerase, it incorporates DNTP onto 3' end of DNA chains. This terminal transferase is useful for adding homopolymeric tails or single nucleotides to the 3' end of DNA strands to make DNA fragments more easily are clonable in the that are used in animal cell biotechnology. How terminal transferase to add polynucleotide tails to foreign DNA and vector DNA. The mechanism of that, we take the foreign DNA and vector DNA, then go to treatment with lambda exonucleases. After that, terminal transferases and DATP are added. So what happens? In the 3' ends, nucleotides are added by the terminal transferases. So both vector DNA and foreign DNA now mix and anneal, and they are going to ligates. So that have the recommended DNA. Nucleases are two types. First is exonucleases and other is endonucleases. Exonucleases involved to remove nucleotides one at a time from a DNA molecules, whereas endonucleases break phosphodiester bond within a DNA molecules, and these endonucleases include restriction enzymes that has a play important role in recombinant DNA technology. Without that, recombinant DNA technology is not possible. That the exonucleases one have 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. It works only on single stranded DNA. It does not work on double-stranded DNA. It is useful for removing unextended primers from PCR reaction or other primer extension reaction. Exonucleases BAL31, it is specific to double-stranded nuclease activity. It operates in a time-dependent manner. So, and it degrades both 5' and 3' ends of DNA. This BAL31 exonuclease is useful for generating deletion sets, get bigger deletion with long incubation. So it is clear when the incubation time is higher, so what happens? Bigger deletion will be generated. Exonuclease third, it is specific to double-stranded DNA. It has 3' to 5' exonuclease activity. This exonuclease third, to make 3' overhang that have resistant to activity, can use this property, and this property can be used to make the nested deletion from the one end of a piece of DNA. Now I'm coming on endonucleases, that is the DNA edges. It cleaves double-stranded DNA randomly. This enzyme has manganese plus plus dependent having cofactors and magnesium plus plus having cofactor enzymes. So manganese plus plus having enzymes have capability to cut the both strand of DNA, whereas magnesium plus plus having enzyme has capacity to cut or make nicks in single stranded only. These enzymes are very useful for defining binding site for DNA binding proteins. Now I'm coming on types of endonucleases. There are 4 types of endonucleases. Type 1. It is a multi-subunit protein that function as a single protein complex. Usually it contains 2 R subunits and 2 M subunits as well as 1 S subunits. Second endonuclease is type 2. It recognizes specific DNA sequences and cleave at constant position at or close to that sequences to produce 5' phosphates and 3' hydroxyl groups. And it is most useful in cloning process. Whereas type 3 endonucleases composed of 2 genes, that MODs and REST genes. These 2 genes encoding protein subunits that function either in DNA recognition or modification or restriction. Type 4 endonucleases, it has 1 or 2 genes encoding proteins that cleave only modified DNA, including methylated DNA, hydroxyl methylated DNA, as well as glucosyl hydroxyl methylated bases. So these endonucleases, that is the restriction endonucleases, they recognize specific sequences. Examples of that is 4 cutters is LU1 MSP1 restriction endonucleases, 6 cutter PV2 and KP1 endonucleases, whereas 8 cutter, that is not one endonucleases. That is the topoisomerases. Topoisomerase has a restriction enzyme and a ligase capability. So it has capacity all in one. It is involved in altering the linking number in coiled constraints, that is the supercoiled DNA. So thus they relaxing DNA twisting during the replication. Topoisomerases catalyze ligation in extremely efficient, that is more than 85% of presenting plasmid are recombinants, and they are excellent for library construction. These enzymes can be used to clone blunt-end DNA or to overhang PCR products in directional cloning process, and also they are used to their plasmid vectors. How topoisomerase acts in the cloning process? So in these cases, topoisomerase 1 recognition sites that are present, and these enzymes bind to the template DNA, that the topo, and it has the 0 blunt topo vectors plus the PCR products. Also here we make the blunt and PCR products. So these both PCR products and 0 blunt topo vectors going to add together and incubating 5 minutes at room temperatures. So because this enzyme, topoisomerase enzyme, has ligation capacity, so these 0 blunt topo vector and blunt and PCR product we are going to ligated by the topoisomerase, and finally recombinant PCR products has been added in the topo vectors, and now topoisomerase is released. That is the proteases. Proteases also termed as peptidases, proteolytic enzyme, and protein hydrolases. They catalyze amide bond hydrolysis in protein or peptide substrates. So what's happened? If any proteins, it is going to digested with the proteases in hydrolysis process, fragment of protein that amino acids are released, other group that acid group, another is that amine group. 2 fragment has been generated in case of protease action. Characteristic of proteases, their mode of action on substrates, that exopeptidases. They act near the end of polypeptide chains, where aminopeptidases They act on the N-terminals. Carboxyl peptides are those acting on the peptide bond from the C-terminus ends. Some enzymes have both capacity to acting on the carboxy and aminopeptidase form, such as cathepsin. Since their structure can have structural elements that provide negative charges, that cathepsin H to bind the positive charge amino acid terminus of the substrates, or the positive charge that cathepsin X to bind the negative charge carboxyl terminus of the substrates. So due to this, they have both the property that carboxy peptides and aminopeptides. Endopeptides, the peptide substrates run through the entire length of the active site of an endopeptide framework, and it is cleaved in the middle of the molecules. Oligopeptides is used to refer to those that act optimally on any substrate. Those who have the smaller than the proteins they are going to digested by the peptides are termed as oligopeptides. For mechanistic variation in the proteases to activate a peptide bond for the hydrolysis, first is the serine proteases, other is the cysteine proteases, aspartyl proteases, as well as zinc metalloproteases. Protease applications. These proteases process that involve protein hydrolysis step find wide-ranging application such as cleaning process, proteomic study, as well as food biotechnology process. Protease for cheese manufacturing is rennin chymotrypsin. This rennin is a aspartic protease. It involved in coagulation of milk. It cleaves casein to form curd. Other is the preprorenins. How did it form renin? It formed from preprorenins to prorenins, and ultimately renin has been formed. That is the active which involved in the coagulation of milk. This is the first food products produced by recombinant DNA technology and approved for human use in 1990. Proteases also play an important role in meat tenderizer. That is, the collagen makes meat tough. Because younger animals has less cross-linking of collagens. Other application of that papain cysteine proteases, it degrade muscles fiber and connective proteins that are active at high temperatures. So this enzyme, when temperature is high, only then it is active. So due to this principle, it involved in meat tenderizer process. Dear students, so today we have learned about the modifying enzymes and their applications in animal cell biotechnology. In the examples of that, the DNA polymerases, we have learned about DNA polymerases functions and their application usage in recombinant DNA technology. Also, we have learned about DNA ligases role, that how they play important role in recombinant DNA technology. Similar way, we have learned about the alkaline phosphatase function and their uses, and also T4 polynucleotide kinases. In spite of that, we have learned about the nucleases, that is the exonucleases and endonucleases. So the endonucleases that you have, maybe you have much knowledge, and here you have learned maybe a specific way about the endonucleases, that they recognize the specific sequences, and there are many types, and how they can be used in recombinant DNA technology. In spite of that, we have learned about the function and application of topolymerases as well as proteases. Okay, dear student, thank you.